Hey, Potion Guy and Professor 44 and Packrat. What's up, y'all? Happy Sunday. Why are you acting surprised, Potion? Stream on a Sunday? I always stream on a Sunday. Usually. Depends. Unless there's nothing. There is a stream typically scheduled every Sunday, unless something happens. I almost made it back in time last night for the Saturday night stream, but bro, that was a long drive. The race was all the way down in a place called Cuero, Texas, which was only about 90 miles from the Gulf Coast. Damn stream. Hang on. There we go. All right. The Twitch stream should be improved now. First to restart the stream. That's right. Oh man, all my stuff was offline too. All the computers rebooted while I was gone to the race. Just double check everything. I think things are mostly up and running. Yep, I think everything's looking good. Everything's coming up Millhouse. How does GitHub account creation automation work? Dude, that's something you'll just have to like tinker with and figure out. Because GitHub is constantly updating their stuff and kind of changing everything.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Ah, I was still muted this whole time, son of a biscuit. What's up, guys? Potion, at least you know how to use that sound alert properly.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
The problem is it got turned off and on. That's the problem. That's what I was... The only thing y'all missed was me ranting about shit breaking when the computers reboot. Ah. All right, let me see if this works. Hang on. Let's try this again. We're gonna start from the beginning. What's up, guys? My name's Blaise, absolute 100% pro streamer here. All right, let me... Okay, cool. Everything's kind of back up. Yeah, 100% pro cankles. Hey, Code Warrior, what's up, dude? Happy Sunday, everybody. Okay, so to catch y'all up, so what happened was we left but early on Friday to head down to the race. This was the last race before we take the summer break because it's just too damn hot in Texas. So we take June, July, and August off, right? And so this was the final one before the end. We get up there, everything's looking pretty good. Even for our 5-hour drive, we get there, go to start Agent Zero's bike, and it will not start. It will not start. So we do a little bit of troubleshooting and do emergency open carburetor surgery right there at the track. And just, oh man, my father-in-law, who usually takes care of the bikes, was pissed because he felt bad like the bike wasn't going to run. Long story short though, after some copious amounts of carb cleaner and some other stuff, we got Agent Zero's bike running, and it was running really well. The issue is something to do with the way the throttle cable and this carburetor interact. So I went and already found the correct carburetor that it should have and got that ordered. But he was able to go run the race. Yeah, carb cleaner is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. So he was able to go run the race. It was a stupidly fast track. So I went and did the math. Agent Zero's average speed around that track was 19 miles an hour. Yeah. And keep in mind, that's his average speed. That means some places he was going slower, and some places he was going much faster, right? I was like, holy crap. That is a very fast 7-year-old. So use carb cleaner whenever you wanted to skip the gym. So anyway, But yeah, so Agent Zero went and ran his race a little bit later in the day. My father-in-law ran his race, and then we drove the 5 hours back. I did not get back to Dallas until like right at 8 p.m. And so by the time we got the trailer unloaded and I had to get Agent Zero home and get him showered and in bed, it was just too late to do the stream last night. But it worked out really well. Agent Zero finished with his... That was his fourth first place win. His fourth first place finish out of 5 races. So he's crushing it right now. And his other one was a second place. So he's doing pretty good. He is, yeah, he's top of the leaderboard right now. And he should have it pretty well on lockdown as long as we don't miss any races the second half of the season. So good time there. And then today was just nonstop. By the way, Potion, I saw all your messages, dude. I haven't even opened Discord today until 5 minutes before the stream started. So I'll catch up with them here in a little bit. Let's see. Oh, what do we have? Oh, sorry. So we're working on the Dracarys lab in here. Yes, Agent Zero is his alias because he is my oldest child. Therefore, he's the first entry in the children's array. So he is Agent Zero. Yes. Yep, all arrays index from 0, and he's the first entry. All right, let me try something here. I think we went through and we tried last time. All my notes got BTFO'd, so that's a bummer. Actually, hold on, didn't I keep notes in here? Let me see. I did, thank you. I kept my own notes in here. Let's save this real quick. Notes. Because we're still trying to figure out what to do about the initial foothold on this system here. We have some potential MySQL users in here, but there was something else in here that we went through. We knew we had a null session. Let's see, null SMB. What was it? Null SMB session on DCO1. And I gotta remember what the DC's name is. Let me do that real quick. Let's see. Let me take a couple of notes here out of real quick. Let's see. We've got DCO1, which was called... what was that? I'm pretty sure I've got it in the Etsy Resolve. Nope, sorry, not Etsy Resolve. Etsy Host. Where is it? Etsy Hosts. There we go. Yes, I'm pretty sure Balerion, that was DCO1. Let's see, there's server 1, DCO1. Here, let me open this one up real quick. Yeah, so that was DCO1. That was 10.4.10.10. Okay, so that's the one we need. Let me move this over here. So that's 10.4.10.10. And then what did we call that name? That one was this one. Let me grab this stuff real quick. Let's clean up some notes because I realized I didn't take very good notes here. All right, so that's Balerion. That's that one. Okay. Vagar here. Let's do that. That should be server 1. There. There you go. I'll just do it like that. And then... what was the other one? It's like LXO1? Linux 1? That one should be Cyrax here. And so, looking at Cyrax, it doesn't look like we've got an immediate foothold on Cyrax. It was only running 2 services. It had a MySQL database, and it had a blank web server. That was it. When does it stop? It really just stops at Agent Zero because my second son is named Honey Badger. And Agent Zero fits his personality because he's very chill. for the most part. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a hyperactive, 7-year-old, like every other 7-year-old. But he's also really chill, too. Especially when he's riding. When he's riding, he's like Cool Hand Luke, just dipping and dodging through there. You know what he told me after one of his races? He's like, Daddy, I really like passing people. I was like, it shows. It shows, kid. Get this. So he races in the 50cc modified class. So the way it usually works for the kids is they're broken up by engine size and stock and modified, right? So he's in the 50cc modified class. All those kids are running 2-strokes, and they're all pretty much all running DRRs, like kind of what he's got. But he was actually hanging with the 90 mod leader, right? So it should be one that he should be able to, in theory, easily hang with the 90cc stock class if they're running 4-strokes, because he's running a 2-stroke. But he was hanging with the 90 mod leader during that race. I'm like, damn, he was really booking it. Let's see. I think we tried connecting over to that machine real quick. Hang on. Let me try something else real quick. So Balerion here, that's our domain controller. Let me try something again real quick. I'm pretty sure we tried... Yeah, we verified that it does accept a null session. It enforces signing, so we can't relay to and from it. But it does allow null authentication. So hold on. And didn't we do RPC client? Let me double check this again real quick. No, that's not right. I think it's tech in here. And then we just give it the IP address. Hang on. Okay. And then what commands do we have? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, Kankle. So I asked him after he was actually a little scared of his 2-stroke in the beginning, because he went from a 50cc 4-stroke, right? And then he went to a 50cc 2-stroke, and he was a little scared of it in the beginning. But after he rode it for most of the day and got used to it. Hey, Boskans, thanks for coming online, man. But after he rode his 2-stroke for a little bit, I asked him, I was like, hey, you want to go back to riding on the 4-stroke? No, I like the 2-stroke. No. Yeah, so he just goes and braps around the track. And, oh my lord, his bike is so freaking loud. It's the loudest 2-stroke I've ever heard. It was so loud, I thought I busted out. I thought he had busted out his muffler, right? Dude, two smokers are the best. So I thought he had blown out the muffler pack. So in these little 2-stroke engines, what you'll have is the muffler will have a center, like kind of like hollow cylinder and an outer cylinder, right? And you'll put this packing material in the middle there. I thought he had just worn it out, blown it out. So I got some more muffler pack, took his muffler apart. It's still perfectly fine in there. It's just ungodly loud. That bike, I can't believe how loud it is. But on the plus side, though, when he's back racing through the woods, it's real easy to tell where he is. Let me see. What else do we have here for enum commands? Enum DOM users. Let me see here. Okay, so we can connect with the null session, but we can't get the other users in here. So this one right here, our RPC client keeps telling us we've gotten denied. Hang on. I'm going to take a note on this real quick, because we tried this. Where was the other thing right here? Hang on. I'm just taking some notes real quick.
Let's echo 23, see what's up.
That's right. We're going to echo 23. copy that. All right, let me throw this into the notes real quick. So, even with the null session, for some reason, it's not letting us do anything. What else could we do with this? What other enum commands did we have in here? Shut up, baby. I know it. Hey, Austin. What's up, dude? My 125 is extremely loud. Part of why I like the two strokes. They sound so good, and the instant torque is amazing. Hack the planet. Dude, they're crazy. I mean, they don't have that kind of like grunty torque like the four strokes, but man, he's so freaking fast, man. Hey, Austin. Yeah, dude, we're going to pick up with the Dracarys lab. We're still trying to hunt for what should be the initial foothold. There's a null session allowed on this server. However, there's just nothing coming back. So I'm trying to see like what we've got for any of these commands in here. What else we could enum? What about enum domains? Access denied there. There's also a bunch of query commands. Let me see. Let's see. Query just. Oh my god. Okay, fine. I had to type the whole command. I can't just tab complete it. Yeah, so those aren't working either. 2, 3. So nothing's coming back on there. Let's try responder again. Because we actually saw responder do some stuff in here. Let me exit out of this real quick. Let's see here. What did we do for a responder? Did we do this over here? Yeah. No, this was a different one. Hold on. There was an option in here I wanted to look at. So is it a math question then? No, it's not a math question. I'm so lost. Bear with me, guys. I'm brain fried from this weekend. On top of everything else we had going on, so it was a very long day Friday. It was a long day, an extra long day Saturday. And then today, I have been on the move pretty much since like 7 a.m. until just before the stream. I've been running nonstop. I wanted to check a couple of the options real quick over in. So I don't know, we'll try DHCP. I don't think we saw any DHCP stuff in here. Same thing with WPAD. I'm just going to run it. Attack I, ETH 0. Let's see. I'm not worried about grabbing anything on. Hold on. I'm going to let this run for a second. What do I have running on port 80 real quick? Let's see. Oh, wait, hold on. I ran that with root, didn't I? Pseudo responder. What's this thing on port 80? Well, hey, it's getting stuff. It's seeing things, right? It poisoned an answer for Cyrax from server 1, right? So that's the Linux server. So we're getting the poisoned requests, right? So we're getting these multicast DNS, and we're also getting these LLMNRs, right? And so these are two different things kind of doing the same thing, though. They're kind of like linked local multicast DNS resolutions. And so it's poisoning it, but none of those are coming back. And that's kind of what we saw last time, which is unfortunate. So what should be happening is responder is going to come in here, and it's going to say, hey, by the way, I'm that guy. So you can just send your authentication to me, and we should see like a NTLM v2 hash show up in here if it tried to connect over to us. So nothing coming back here yet. Let's see. Dang it. That null session really throws me off because there's a lot of stuff we could do with it, but it just doesn't look like it's working. What could we do with it? So if the null session worked properly, like the way I kind of expected, we should have been able to go through and at least like get some information out of Active Directory via LDAP in there. But everything that kept coming back is like access denied. So it means like I'm trying to remember what permission that would be over there. I know there's things we can do with null sessions, but I'll be real with you. I've never seen a null session on a real penetration test. Like, it's such a weird corner case, but it's one that CTF writers like because it's a nice initial foothold. That's interesting, Potion. So talk to the Hacker News streamer I was sending the clips from. Turns out he's using private data that he signed up for an NDA. And then he's using Claude to scrape dark web. I mean, that's kind of cool. I like the idea flow there. Let's see. We had Bloodhound all set up. So everything's showing up here. Let me try something else real quick. So, okay. It looks like on here, Responder is probably not going to work for us. That's funny. I never saw the tips portion in Responder. I wonder if that's new. Hang on. Let me take a note of this, that Responder is seeing stuff, but like nothing's coming back. So let's make a note of this. Let's see. Null session here. Not working. Take that out. So then we tried Responder, and we got some responses back, but nothing really came back in here. Let's make a note of these real quick. My mouse is not working. Here we go. Copy that. Okay, so this way, I'm not going to keep dancing around this issue real fast. All right, so all of these, nothing will working. So we got responding, but no captures. Sad. Let me move this up real fast. There we go. So Responder is responding. It's seeing the stuff, but nothing's coming back. We already ran a dir buster on this. Let me see. What do we have in our word list here? We've got our Derby word list. We also got a dir buster word list. Hang on one sec. Let me see. What else do we have in this Derby one here? I want to try something real quick. Let's just see what else in here. trying to think if it's thinking of the one that I might see in here. Yeah, that one's kind of working. All right, let me try something else real quick. Where's... Because we ran FUF before. FFUF. Nah, it must have been on this other one up here. Hang on. Because we didn't get any hits from Seclist, which was really weird. But I'm going to try Wordless, Derby. Let's see, what was that? Common. I'm going to let it run through this one real quick. Which it should run through really fast. We did do a FUF for subdomains too. Yeah, because we had another one in here. So, hang on. FFUF. Oh, wait, that was the one I wanted. Damn it. Here we go. Yeah, so this was another one. And it basically turned out that... so what we're doing is we were fuzzing the host header right here, right? So I told it, connect over to the Linux server, fuzz that host header. Nothing was coming back. Let me double check and make sure I didn't do something stupid and like jack up the host header here. What is that command?
Warning. Virus infection alert.
Oh no, the hypnotic virus. What's up, y'all? Hang on. You have to send the cookies to slow them down. Who's in the cookies? What's up, guys? Hypnotic, what were you up to, dude? What you doing? Let me see. Oh, doing more game dev? Nice. Yeah, it's the GOAD virus. Oh, doing some modeling? Very cool. Dude, I like seeing people do modeling because I just don't have that kind of artistic thought process. And so it's really cool to see like how they do it and to think, where do they start from and like how did they get there? It's neat to see the evolutionary process of that. So, welcome in, Raiders. By the way, if you're new here, hi likely, but my name is Blaise. I'm a penetration tester and a red teamer. I've been doing that for 8 years, and I've been in IT for 16 years and doing computer hood rat stuff basically kind of like since the 2nd grade and before I could even get on the internet. So, what we're doing tonight is we're messing around with an Active Directory challenge lab called Dracarius. So it's an offshoot of another game system, another CTF lab called the Game of Active Directory, which is kind of designed to be like a damn vulnerable Active Directory. It's really fun. And so this one is meant to be a more of a challenge version. So we're trying to get our initial foothold into this very tiny lab and just hitting roadblocks everywhere. So we're trying to suss it out and figure out what's up. Hey, Bobby, what's up, dude? Happy Sunday. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday. I had a very busy one, but it was a really good one. Got to spend a lot of time up at my church and then with some friends because a friend of ours, his son was having his confirmation today. So we spent a lot of time with them. My kids were happy about it. They loved it. Even if they are little turds. They're such little turds. They're lucky they're cute. Hang on one sec. Buff. I gotta make sure I got this right. Subdomain enumeration. Yo, hey Chris, what's up, dude? All right, let me make sure I set up this host header correctly. Yeah, okay, real easy. TAC H, host, fuzz, and then the domain. Bam. And we didn't have to worry about this because we were giving it the IP address. That shouldn't change anything. Let me try this. What does TAC FS do? Because Because we're using FC. Hold on. Let me do FS. Okay, didn't like that. That's all right. I want to try this, but... Okay, hang on. So everything's coming back with the same size. So what I need to do is I need to exclude that size right there. Hang on one sec. I'm going to try and pull something up over here on the second monitor so I can do this. Because what I want to do is I want to take out all these responses that are coming back here that are this size. I want to take them all out, I think. Acme totes something about Let's Encrypt. Yeah, because it looks like that this response size, this 10671, is what's going to kind of like mess it up here. All right, hang on. I'm trying to get logged into Grok over here on my second monitor so I can... But Grok is just like not having it. That's weird. I don't know why it's not working. Oh, is it just FS10, like the size? Okay, let's try that then. Let's do 10671. All right, so it's churning pretty fast. Well, this will tell us if anything doesn't respond with a 10671 size to it. Because they've got some kind of a wild card in there that like we could see is catching everything, right? Oh, gotcha. Thanks, 44. I don't have to do much fuzzing these days, believe it or not. It's just not what I'm usually doing. Question. So I'm looking at a bare metal install for Proxmox on a Lenovo laptop from 2012. That's probably going to be rough, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm running it on a server that's from like 2008. So does the Proxmox download come with its own OS? So it just requires flashing a USB drive with Rufus, then moving it onto the laptop to boot from that. Let me double check because they may have changed it since the last update to Ludus. But hang on. Let's see. Ludus install. But it used to be you would go install Debian and then you would run the script. You're so full of crap, Gumby. Also, hey Gumby, what's up, dude? I don't think you were on Wednesday, so I was actually thinking to message you to make sure you were okay. Let's see. So I'm happy to see that you are. All right, so yeah, it looks like you're still going to... Yes. So no, Chris, it doesn't come with its own operating system, and I didn't think they did. What it does is it will go through and provision Proxmox on top of a Debian install. So usually what they recommend is installing Debian in here. So here's the actual instructions that they've got. Let me drop this right here. There we go. So yeah, so what you'll do is you'll go through and you'll install Debian first. And then when you run the Ludus installer here, it will actually go through and then run the script. It will set up Proxmox and it will provision everything for you. What do I need Ludus instead of just Proxmox? So Proxmox is a hypervisor virtualization system, right? But it doesn't have a lot of built-in automation to it. So Ludus is an overlay to Proxmox that lets you go through and do the things like defining the Ansible roles and saying, hey, this is how to automatically provision the lab from the YAML file, spec definition, everything in there. That's what Proxmox does. So Proxmox handles basically think of it as the engine, but Ludus is like the car. That's what you're actually driving. Oh, I got you, Gumby. That's no worries, man. So you need Ubuntu, Ludus, and Proxmox on a bare metal to install this thing. Not even that. No, what they recommend here is actually just install Debian. And so they recommend Debian 12, but you could also do Debian 13. So you'd go through the install process for Debian 12 here. And then once that's installed, here's the commands. You actually get it set up. You go SSH over to that system, and then update the repositories, update the CA certificates on the system, and then run curl, just like that. And so this will download and execute the install script right there for you. Bam. Yeah, man. Now, hold on. So this laptop is from 2012. How much RAM is on that system? Because your RAM, unfortunately, in this day and age, your RAM is going to be the major limiting factor for the lab. A lot of times the processor might bottleneck it a little bit, but the machines are largely just running at idle CPU. 16 gigs of RAM. Okay. You're not going to be able to run much more than 2 VMs on that laptop, so just be aware of that. It will run, but you can set up a very basic lab right there. You could set up one that's a domain controller and one that's a workstation. Give them each 4 gigs of RAM. They'll not be very peppy, but it will operate on 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah, no problem, dude. No problemo. Hang on, let me try something else here. Why is this not working? I think Grok is kind of offline right now. Yeah, oh well. All right, so we tried subdomain fuzzing in here. We tried directory fuzzing. I think there's another one in here. Let me try the big list. I'm just going to try a bunch of these. Even the big list is smaller than the raft list. So, that is unfortunate. Let me try one more thing here real quick. Just for sanity's sake, let me throw another in here. Why wouldn't this be working? Yes, Gubby is Supreme Overlord. Let's see. Well, what happened was Blaise was Bittens without a sponsorship from Jocko, and that's not okay. I'm working on it, dude. So I'm actually on a professional development sprint this week. So I'm going to use that week, since I don't have to hop onto client environments first thing in the morning. I'm going to use that to start getting back into my regular exercise. I've been honestly just slacking on it ever since my sister passed away. I was doing really good. My sister passed away and it just blew everything up, and I've not gotten back to it. And that was about more than a year and a half ago. So I'm going to use this week to start getting back into that. Is therapy done so you can engage in fitness without further injury? For the most part, yeah. I actually still need to keep doing stretches and some strengthening. And on Mondays and Wednesdays when I can swing it, I'll go to the pool for I'm trying, bro. on Mondays and Wednesdays, whenever I can go into the pool, there's actually a lot of exercises I'll do in there because the water adds a lot of resistance. There's a lazy river in there. So there's exercises where I should have a resistance band, like getting extra resistance, but instead I'll just use the force of the lazy river and I'll walk against it, going forward, doing like this kind of like side crab thing that helps engage a lot of my lower back, core, and glute muscles to get them reworking, and going backwards. So just kind of get all the stuff about that. I'm sorry to hear about that night, dude. And I'm sure for you, it's probably a similar situation that it just kind of came out of nowhere too. It was absolutely not expected. So it wasn't violent or anything. She just got unexpectedly very sick and just basically passed away in the night. Let's see. All right, so what else can we do here? Subdomains aren't working. There's nothing showing up in this machine here. Let me try, hold on. I'm going to try Derby. Like, directly. Hang on. So, I like Fuff, but I'm going to try Derby directly, just because it kind of tells us, like, what we're looking for here. Okay, so Derby, and then we need our... What is it? We need our base URLs. This will be HTTP, what is this? 10.4.10.12, if I remember correctly. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the word list. Let me see. User, share, word list, Derby, big. I'm just going to try this real quick. There we go. Oh, the spammers. Interesting. So it found server status, but that one comes up as a 403. Hang on, let me try this real quick. Okay. Everything coming back 403. Okay. Let me see what I want to see what this 403 message looks like in here. Let's see. Maybe it'll give us some. Nope. So server status is just a plain default Apache 403. All right, let me see what else we can do with this. So Derby's coming back with the same stuff we've gotten here. Oh, they were spamming over on Kick, Gumby, so yeah, usual stuff. Hey, Dirk, what's up, dude? Oh, hold on, what's that, Chris? Sorry, I missed the first part. We're using Try Hack Me. No, this is the GOAD DRACARYS lab. I've got it set up on my Luda server here at the house. That's what we're looking at. Let's see. Made a demo. Forge takes the raw video, builds out some cool demos, builds scripts in a corpus of 4K scraped Twitter posts for human level naturalization. Dude, that's awesome. But what are you using it for, Dirk? I mean, it sounds pretty cool. Let me try something else real quick. Responder is kind of working, but I want to leave it up. I gotta figure out why it's not starting on port 80. I want to see... You know what? I don't care. Let it not run on port 80. I'm gonna leave responder up in the background. Yeah, we added the host names over to the Etsy host file. That was real simple. So we've tried domain like doing basically like directory fuzzing on there. We tried virtual host fuzzing on there. We found a null session on the DC, but the null session seems to be locked down. There's nothing coming back from that. Let me try something else real quick. I don't know if we... LDAP, nothing in here. Okay, let me try netexec again real quick. So netexec here was working, right? See, this shows that we have a null session, but if we try that with LDAP, it doesn't come back. I mean, it kind of does. To it. Let's try an LDAP search real fast. So for LDAP search... I gotta remember what the switches are for this. So X is simple authentication, which I think that's what we want. We want simple authentication, and then... So H will be the URI, so that should be CAC H, and we'll do LDAP colon 10.4.10.10 is the IP address. And then what else do we need in here? I think just the LDAP query is what we need. Oh, we need the base distinguish name in here. So we already know what that is. So that should be... Hang on, what is it? We can kind of infer that from here. The domain is dracarys.lab, right? So that should be, let's see. DC is going to be equal to... Right, hold on. I'm going to copy it because I don't want to screw it up. Here, let me just grab this real quick. Let me make sure I got this correct in the notes. Let me see. Yeah, so that's Balerian. All right, good. So I did get that right. Let me double check. I didn't realize how spoiled I was by a lot of the automations I've got at work, because a lot of the stuff I would already have this information kind of pulled out. I forgot how much I have to do whenever I don't have that automation stuff set up. And then now it should just be whatever we want to query from LDAP. What box is this? This is a, I'll drop a link to it real quick. Let me find it real fast. This is this lab here from Mayfly, the guy who wrote Game of Active Directory. And here, I'll pin that up real fast. Pin that until the end of stream. There we go. Yeah, so this is the lab we're going through. It is a specialized version of the Game of Active Directory, but it's not meant to be like a damn vulnerable Active Directory. And he walks through how to go through and set it up. But yeah, so he released this very recently, March 8th. And so he hasn't done a write-up on it yet. So we're trying to see if we can get through it before he does the write-up. Yeah. Oh, so you're using that the scraping stuff for when clients, when they also need a cool demo and for your own experiments. Let's see. It's cool. It does subtitle splits of the video and has a background soundtrack and cool speakers. Nice. Now, unfortunately, I'm losing my coding chops now that the AI has made me lazy. It's come to the point where, like, if I need some little tool that does something, Dirk, and I can then run through and have it do test validations, I don't worry about the code anymore. And it's really, really wild to think about that a lot of coding has become disposable. However, whenever you do have massive issues, you got to be able to know like how to find them and how to read through them. All right, so I think the last thing we need here is... I gotta remember how to do this. Hang on one second. LDAP search, anonymous bind. Let me see. Yeah, and it should just be here after this. We could just do like object class everything. But I don't want to do that. I want to do, let's see, object class equals user. Let me see if I can get a list of the users. If I can get a list of the users, then we could try AS rep roasting. And let me see if I got anything else in here. I think that's it. Okay, and that's what kind of what I was expecting. So it's not allowing these anonymous binds. See that? You got to go do some Python. All right, man. Don't let it get the best of you. Remember, if it wraps you up, it'll eat you. Hey, Monkey, what's up, dude? So it's definitely stupid at times where, like, I actually have to kill a whole Docker install I had for my stuff because I say just reboot it and decides to recreate it. And yeah, some of the code is super inefficient. Oh, yeah. What are you using as your coding agent, Dirk? Oh, man, I'm out of my Jocko drink. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. All right. Hey, Chris, have a good night, brother. Take care, and thanks for stopping in. You know I always appreciate you, dude. What is Jocko? You can't really see it all that well because the green screen's behind it, but hang on. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Here we go. All right. Sorry for the flashbang, but there you go. Now you can see it. Jocko's an energy drink. So Jocko is actually a person, but his energy drinks I like called Jocko Go. I had to think about the name, but they're really nice. They're pretty smooth energy. They don't really amp you up a ton. They got about 100 milligrams of caffeine. I can drink one of those. Now, I'm a fast caffeine metabolizer. I can drink one of those starting at the beginning of the stream, which is about 8 o'clock Central Time. I'll finish it about 9 o'clock, just sipping on it, enjoying it. And then when I get done with the stream at 11, I can usually be out and in bed by like 11:30 midnight. So it doesn't keep me up all night. Oh, you're running Quinn 3.6 locally. Gotcha. I would say go give... what's the other one here? I'm trying to think of one that's not super expensive. Some of the DeepSeeks are pretty decent. But yeah, running the Quinn 3.6 local, it's not go. You're basically using what coding agents were from like the Frontier models about a year ago, and they've changed a huge amount in that time. Oh, sorry, I misread that. That's Monkey who's doing that. Oh, you're saying that does pretty well? Okay, gotcha. All right, Dirk, you're using Claude 4.6 because 4.7 is a bit too stupid. Dude, is it, man? 4.7 is just, I don't know what they did to that. They lobotomized that guy. Yeah. Hey, Dirk, go check check this out real quick. Let's see. GitHub's, I think it's Spec Kit. Go check this out. It's a pretty cool tool, especially if you're using like very vanilla Claude. Something like that will walk you through how to like do spec-driven design in it. And it works really well if you're starting from scratch. Like, okay, cool, here's the first spec we need to do, go through and add things to it. Go check that out because by adding that little bit of scaffolding to it, helps guide it and keep it from like going off the rails and doing weird stuff. Hey, Kaiju, what's up, dude? I completed a Linux forensics module today, and while I loosely understand the concept, how would I ever get to use it when I'm supposed to, how am I supposed to use what I see in there? So you typically will only use that if you're doing something like incident response, Kaiju. So a system got compromised, somebody brings you in to go look at it, or your own internal company has you do forensics on it. But I'll tell you this too. I had a guy on my last team who was very deep into forensics, and there were times that we used that as part of our penetration tests to go find, get memory dumps and extract them out and use them. So it's all just another tool in your belt, man. And you just don't know necessarily when it's going to become handy, but knowing like, hey, this is where I'm starting from and this is where I can go with each of those tools, how it can bridge gaps is the biggest thing. Oh, let me catch up on the chat here. I had to go ban someone else over who is spamming on Kick here. Let's see. I found for local models, don't try it for one-shots. It's all about programming management, atomic steps, and rigorous architecture. Okay. See, I haven't messed with any of the local models in a while. I just don't have a lot of hardware to do it. I've got my 3060 at this computer, and it will run a decent amount because it's got 12 gigs of memory in it, but it's not going to be running any big honking models there. Let's see. So another quick question. Is there any danger after OAuth 2 authentication to redirect to HTTP instead of HTTPS? Let me think. Because OAuth 2 is not one of my strong suits. But hang on. Let me see if I can pull up a diagram of it. Because I'm thinking yes. And in fact, there's been times when I've captured certain things with OAuth. Let's see, flow diagram. I'm not trusting my memory right now. Hang on, let me see. Open this in a new tab. Here we go. All right. So here we go. Here's a nice little flow diagram of how OAuth 2 is working, right? So user starts here. We have our client side, our server, and our web front end, and then we have our own server and back end, right? So as it's flowing back and forth, you're sending these client ideas. So what you're saying is if the redirect, let me make sure I got this right. If it's going to redirect them to HTTP instead of HTTPS. Now you talk about when it redirects them after the sign-in flow is completely done and it's redirecting them to like the authenticated site. Is that what you're talking about, Knight? Because yeah, there's always anytime you're using HTTP and you can read the stuff that's happening in the flow of transit, then yes. So this portion right here, right, where you're completely communicating to the back end and you get the response here that says, oh yeah, by the way, we validated the token, and then now we're gonna, the login is run by HTTPS. But, hey, Captain Ken, thanks for coming online, brother. So if the login flow is all running HTTPS, but the site then afterwards is running an HTTP, anybody who could see that traffic would be able to see their authentication tokens that are flowing just in that right there. So that's one of the problems you'd have. And that's true for any HTTP system, right? Any kind of man in the middle or sniffing attack, they could get that. Yeah. Yeah, no worries, man. Honestly, I need to buff up on my own OAuth 2. I had a whole bunch of cloud security stuff that I was personally going to be working on. And then all of a sudden, all the AI stuff exploded, and I got completely sidetracked by a new shiny thing. Just to be 100% real with you. Let me go check if responders come back with anything. It has not. Okay. So we'll leave that running for a little bit longer. Gaspard. Night Gaspard. There we go. I was trying to think how to say this second. Thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. And Blaise, I hope we were all having a fantastic Sunday. Hang on, let me minimize that because it's messing me up. There we go. All right, so our anonymous bind isn't working. Let me check something else real quick here. Because I saw someone talking about something that might have been on this server in some of the chatter here. Hang on. Hang on one sec. I want to check for a couple of keywords in here. So I'm pretty sure this list will have that. Let me see. User, share, sec list, discovery, web content, raft, medium, I think directories. Actually, I'm just going to do a star in here. Check for that real quick. So yeah, so we see vendors. Okay, so that should be good in there. But hold on, there's another one in here I want to go double check for. Something someone had mentioned. Where was that? Damn it. Something called GLPI? Yeah, none of that's coming back. What is this? I think it's from Apache. GLPI. I don't even know what this is. Oh, it flashbang. Stop it. Oh, there's your CSS is bad and you should feel bad. What is this? I don't know. Somebody just mentioned, hey, check for GLPI. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. What is it? Is there a VPN on this box? No, no VPN on this system. Because this is all running inside the Ludus lab. Where is it? Here we go. So yeah, everything in here, let me blow this up. Whoop. So this is completely contained inside of its own lab here, right? So we've got our Kali box, the Linux, the server, and the domain controller right here. So we just deployed a Kali box into the lab so we'd have a working starting point. Make it nice and easy. The way I've got the network set up, we actually could have gone and tested this like from our local machine, but then we definitely wouldn't see anything from Responder. So no, this is on the same like layer 2 segment as the rest of the machines in here, Gumby. Don't worry, every CEO also got distracted by the new shiny AI stuff too. Yeah, the problem is I don't think they're looking at it with a critical eye and they're just like, oh my god, Zords, it's magics. We have magics. We've got wizards now. GLPI is a self-hosted IT asset management and help desk solution. Okay. Let me try something real quick then. Maybe it's running on the system. Maybe we can hit it. Let me see. Server stats didn't come back. What about... Oh. Well, hello there. Okay, so how did we miss this? Let me see. Let me see. Hang on. Large. Okay, so GLPI is not listed on any of these. I see. I see. Okay. Well, I forget who told me, but thank you for that little hint in here. Look, now we've got something. Interesting. Okay. So now, what do we do with this? So this is running... The first thing we got to do is we want to go figure out which version this is in here. So, let's go see... What can we do with this now? So, hold on. Let's go pull up FUF again. So let's do GLPI here. Buzz that. Oh, I need to put a typo in here. Let me see. Let's see if we can find anything in this. Oh, hello. Hello, Mr. Bing. Look what we got here. We got a whole bunch of stuff now. Nice. So all these are 301ing, so they're sending it over to / here is what they're doing. So it's finding directories in here. Actually, that's a good idea. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Let's see if any of them mention it. Okay. Dude, that's a good idea, 44. So, 44 recommended do a recursive case-insensitive check for GLPI. Because usually I like the raft ones, but the raft ones seem to be completely missing this. So we could have gone through and used a different word list to find this. Damn it, I wouldn't needed a hint then. Interesting, okay. Interesting that the Durbuster ones have it. Hang on, let me try something else real quick. So we go to word list, Dur. Actually, I want to try Durb real fast. Yeah. Okay, so Durb don't have any of these, but Durbuster.
Welcome, Agent.
Yeah, so the Durbuster ones do. Oh, Agent Kilobyte is online. What's up, dude? Thank you for the sub, brother. I appreciate it. I need to go actually change that because that's your 4-month streak, and it should say I need to go add a new sound to it. I'll try to do that after the stream here. But what it should say is that you've popped 4 shells. I need to go update that. Because every subscription's like, we popped a new shell. I know, right? Dude, where's the time go? I can't believe I've been streaming for over 2 years now. It's been kind of wild. Let's see. Okay, so it's always good that, hey, whenever you find out this information, like, hey, here's where I screwed up, do a quick post-mortem on it. It's like, okay, what could I have done better this time? And what we could have done is we could have tried some of the more like different word lists in here. I got too stuck on the raft list. I really like the raft list. R-A-F-T. They were good out. I did not even know that Durbuster would have had this in here. Two years. You've only been on for like an hour. I've been streaming. I started streaming like 2 years ago. I started streaming about 6 months before I started my new job. Time travelers, that's right. Also, hey kid, what's up, dude? Kaiju, I'll see if I can get a follow age command in there because I hadn't even thought about it. All right.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Ah, you're so full of crap, Potion. I know you can hear me because you keep heckling everything I say. All right. Let me look at something real quick. Let's go inspect this real fast here. Boop. Let me shrink that over. Load this up. All right, let me look at the sources real quick. I want to see if I can figure out which version of GLPI we're looking at here. Actually, hold on. Before I do this, let's go look at the elements page real quick. Will this tell us anything about me? Expand recursively. Boop. Let's just take a quick jaunt through the DOM real fast. Because what we want to do is we want to look through and see if we see anything about like what version this is running. There's one thing that we can tell. This might be a little bit out of date because the copyright says 2024. It doesn't have like a current up-to-date copyright. So that sometimes is a little bit of a hint that this could be not vulnerable, but slightly outdated in here. Let me check this one real quick. We see a little bit of attribution in here, but nothing. What's this one? Fuzzy.min. Again, another, hey, we use this attribution. Wait, let me see something real quick here. Okay, I don't see that in here. Cron.php? What? Hold on. Can I just go to cron.php? Damn it. That would have been fun. Maybe there was a cron job we could do with this. Content's currently unavailable. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to figure out like what this guy's actually running. So let's see. GLPI, let's try well-known endpoints. Let's see. Just try login.php. That chances are it's probably that's where it's directed us to. Because we're already on login. Well, actually, this would be index.php, right? So forgotten here, we could also say if we had an email address that might work, we might be able to figure something out in here. But I don't want to go through. So we saw some activity, right? We could go through and we saw all these directories right here. So we could go run dirbuster and kind of get an idea of like where each of these things are. I tell you what, let's do that real quick. Let's just have it do it. Dirbuster. And then we found this in this one. Oh, wait, hold on. Where was it? Directory. We'll try this one right here. Directory list lowercase 23 small. I'm just gonna let Derby go through and wait, hold on. That's not correct. I need to change the base URL. This needs to be GLPI. We'll let this just run real fast. Because if it will go through and it will find the other directories in there, then we could potentially go through and see what's up. Well, actually, you know what? Should we just use this one right here? Oh no, we just use Derby big. All right. Let this run for just a second. Haven't seen any indication of which version of PHP it's running yet in Caveman. We could also go try searchploit. Oh, why is this thing? Did I get searchploit in here? I did. Okay. I haven't had to use searchploit in a while either. Let's see. Searchploit, GLPI. Let's see what comes back. Oh, hello there. So yeah, so there is some stuff here with searchploit. Let's see. Explore Pico Color Spider. Thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. So what's the latest version? Actually, there is a SQL injection here for version 10. That's probably the most recent one. Man, I haven't used searchploit in so long. Like I said, a lot of times whenever I'm doing stuff at work, I'm abusing a lot of built-in functionality and not abusing a lot of exploits. It's kind of weird. That's right, SQL injection. Everyone's favorite. I kind of want to look at the ID value in here. Hold on. What does tag P do? I think P is for that's the path. I forget how to even pull it out real quick. What is it to pull up the actual entry? I think it's just tag P. Hang on. Let me try this one real quick here. Oh, there's the full path to it right there. Let's just go pull it up real fast. So this is for versions, a very minor set of versions on number 10 right here. Let's see. This is a 2022 CVE, so I don't know if this one's going to work because this one's this one says the copyright is 2024. So low chance of working, but let me see what they're talking about here. So they're sending a post to Changeform PHP. Let's go see if we can maybe just hit this endpoint real fast. Hang on. Let's see. Hold on. Let me do set. I think it's mouse off. There we go. Let's see if we can hit this endpoint real quick. So it's not liking that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to not work. What we can do, though, is... All right, let me kill responder, because responder's not helping. Let's try this. Let's just send a post request over to it and see what comes back. Okay, so even the post request is saying 404 not found. So I don't think this one's going to work. But that doesn't necessarily mean we can't glean some information from it. Ooh. There was a template injection for 2026. Oh, really? Again, that's why we don't trust just plain old search exploit. Do they have missing security headers for the upload directories? Don't know yet. We just found it. Someone gave me, someone had mentioned a hint of it somewhere that to check out GLPI, and I didn't even know what GLPI was. I had not heard of it before. And that happens more than you think. It's just, there's so many tech stacks. You can't know them all. Let's see, did that Durbust run? Hang on, I want to try something real quick here. Yeah, hang on. I want to try something real quick. I'm going to run Fuff again. Or Derby. I'm going to run Derby again real quick. Because Fuff doesn't do recursive, I don't think. But Derby will. So I want to see if I can give this a second to run real fast. Because I want to see if it'll automatically go through and find something in here. Alright, so Laura is saying... Let me grab that CVE real quick. Let me go see if I can pull that up real fast. So this one's an SSTI vulnerability in GLPI versions 11 through 11.05. Allows authenticated administrators to achieve RCE. Okay, so this is a post-exploitation. This is kind of like a Priv-esque one in here. Because you have to be an authenticated administrator. So we can keep that one in our back pocket, but that one's not going to work right off the bat. How's it, hold on, how is it a 9.1 if you have to have authentication to it? Let's see, so it's network. Let's see. Attack vector network credentials low. Dang it. I haven't had to read this in so long. I'm trying to remember what each of the values means. Okay, yeah, attack complexity low. Privileges required high. There we go. So yeah, you have to already be an administrator, but that's how you'd go basically go through and root the box if you already had some kind of administrator access in there. So that's how it got to a 9.1. Got it. Let's see. Actually, let me try something real quick. Because we saw a bunch of these directories show up in here, right? And this was the one I was initially looking for, was this one. So Derby is running. Let's see. Okay, so we can't see what's in vendor, but we can have it go through and start looking at it in here. Check the changelog? Okay, let's go do that real quick. Let's see. Oh, wait, hold on. This should be /GLPI. So nothing showing up for changelog in here. Unfortunately, that's a good idea, K-Man. That's if you can ever get like the changelog notes, which sometimes they deploy out to these servers whenever they just drop them out there. That's a very good idea. Oh, you can do FUF with TAC recursion? Ooh, okay. Hang on then, you know what I'm gonna do? Recursion, go! Ooh, there's a console endpoint. Hello. Hang on, where was that console one? I just saw it fly by. I can't type console. GLPI console. Config. Okay. Let me go. I want to try that one real fast. Let's see. Config console. Will that let me get anything? Rip. Config and the files will both be important paths. Yeah. That's all right. That's where we're letting it run. And it's running pretty fast. So it's found some stuff in here. So it's found like vendor. It found a bunch of stuff over in vendor. Let's let this run for just a little bit. Because it's finding a lot of stuff in that vendor directory. Hang on, I'm trying to check something real quick. While this is running. A nice SQL injection. Okay. Let's go try it. This is a fairly modern one in here. Hang on, let me go grab this. So I'd be surprised if that worked, but you know what? I have seen dumber things happen. Let's see. So you're saying do a post request over to GLPI front login. So this would be 10.4.10.12 front login. And then basically a real simple or 1 = 1, limit 1, password, submit. Okay, let's go try it. Oh wait, this should be HTTPS. This should be HTTP. Oh, and I got the IP. I got the path wrong. This should be GLPI. All right, something came back. Let me see. Access denied. Womp womp. That's all right. It's always worth a try. Let's see, we did have a front directory found in there. Let me just try this real quick. Yeah, because that one was not found. GLPI, I think they're expecting for that example, Cave, that GLPI would be installed as the root in there, but it wasn't. It's in this /GLPI directory. Also, hey Ford, what's up, man? Don't forget default creds might be worth checking. If it's a more modern system, a lot of times they're not doing default credentials anymore. Default login. So GLPI provides 4 different user profiles for matching usernames and passwords. All right, well, let's go try this real quick. Just GLPI, GLPI. So if we're going to do that, we'll go back. GLPI. We go back in here. We bring this over. Because we have 2 options. We can either log in there or the internal database. So let's go try this. GLPI. GLPI. I can't type. All right, so that one didn't work. But we have tech and tech here. Ah, damn it. I didn't change this. Tech, tech. Let's see what happens. All right, that one didn't work. We have normal, normal, and post only. These names crack me up. Let's see. Normal. Normal. Nothing there. So chances are this is not going to work. But you know what? I'm willing to try it. Yeah. See, what I'm actually trying to check is... Oh, wait. There should be a status page in here. Hang on. Status.php. Let's see. Ooh, here we go. All right, so we got a little bit of information here. Tells us where it's connected to. All right, so we got a little bit of information. Let's see. Another person said check the versions directory. Nothing in there. Did I check the changelog in here though? Change. Actually, I think it's changelog.md. Hey, there we go. Someone had mentioned doing the changelog. Nice. Here we go. Let's go. All right, so it looks like we're running 10.0.17. Very cool. All right, so let's make a note of that real quick. All right, so let's go back to, what do we want to call this? Let's be LX01. Found GLPI installed at /GLPI. And then let's make a note here that we found the changelog. And so now we know which version it's running. I think when I did the changelog initially, I think I screwed it up. I think I didn't put GLPI in front of it. Nice. There we go. Oh, no, you're good, Cayman. This is meant to just be a fun time, right? Especially for a nice little challenge lab like this. Let's see. So now that we know which version we're running, let's go take a look at Searchsploit again. See what we can find. Searchsploit GLPI. Let's see, so we're running, what was it? It is 10.0.17. I don't think I saw anything in Searchsploit matching that. If you have the cartography plugin, that's something different. There's a lot of earlier versions. There's 10.0.2, which is the SQL injection with an authentication depends on the configuration. Actually, there's another one in here someone mentioned. Let me try this real quick, just as a confirmatory test. Yeah, I didn't think that was going. API disabled. Okay, not a big deal. But at least we know which one we're looking at. Let's see. So unfortunately, there is an API in there, but its API is showing up as disabled in here. I don't know, let me try it real quick, because there's another thing we can do where we can do... what was that? Init session. Yeah, that didn't come up either. So we're getting somewhere, right? We know where we're looking at. GLPI is in here. We know it's talking to Active Directory. I want to try something real quick. Let me come over to the network tab real fast. Let me clear all this stuff out. I'm going to send a fake login. We're going to call this foo bar. Okay, so how did this post request look? Let me see. All right, so we had a CSRF token. Auth was going to LDAP 1. Okay. So now let me go back. Oh, dang it. It didn't preserve the log. That's okay. I want to change it to the internal one. Whatever. Sign in. All right, so how did this one look? Auth local. So, okay, so we're telling it which one. So this is an enumerated field, so we're probably not going to be worried about that. Ooh, there's another CVE for it. All right, Ford, let's go take a look at that one. Again, another reason why not to just trust just search exploit. Let's go see. This guy's got a one in here. Ooh. SQL injection vulnerability scanner built with Python. Multi-threading output, designed for testing this particular CVE, 24799. That's the one you mentioned in here. So hold on, let me go back real quick. Let's check the NIST database. Vulnerability was fixed in 10.0.18, so we're in the right range. GLPI had an unauthenticated user could perform a SQL injection through an inventory endpoint. Nice, nice. And it's rocking a 9.8, so that's very good. Okay. Awesome. Actually, there was a new thing released, Caveman. I think it was from the UK AI Safety Institute. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Safety Institute. This was very recent. Yeah, they had one that they just released. Hold on, let me find what's their Twitter account? Because I think they posted it on Twitter. Why are you giving me all these news sites? Just take me to their damn site. Here we go. Yeah, so this one was from April. Here, I'll drop a link over to it. But they went through and tested it on a huge multi-machine lab. But there was another one they recently put out, too. Maybe it was this one? Let me see. Here we go. So they said that Mythos and GPT-5.5 have large upper bound error bars due to a near 100% success rate on our narrow Cyber Suite's long test, even with a $2.5 million token limit. So, yeah, they've been doing a lot of testing with Mythos and a lot of the other frontier models, going through and looking like how they perform in big multi-lab ranges. So that's actually a place you can go get like some legit lowdown of it. So hold on. So now that we know that this is in the right spot, and this guy is specifically targeted for this, let me go look at his Python script here real quick. Because anytime you're going to start looking at code from anybody's exploit code on GitHub, go read the code. So let's see what he's doing here. So it's going to run the main one here. He's going to parse out a couple of arguments, print our banner. So what's our banner up here? There's our banner. Boop. Okay, good. So after we print the banner, what are we going to do? Print help if something sucks. Starting SQL injection. So it's going to start looking at a list of URLs. Scan URLs from file, so wherever this guy is. Open them, strip. I don't see anything overly malicious in here. I'm just reading through to see like what it's doing. I don't even read it. I just run it. Do not just go running the code. Here you go. Here's another article that Ford just sent in. I'm not familiar with these guys. Lexfo.fr. So the handle agent function found in source agent PHP is accessible pre-authentication function used by GLPI agents for inventory purposes. Nice. Why we run everything in virtual boxes? True. I mean, VM escapes do exist, but still. And usually, like, if you go read this code and you go look at it, right, you don't see any of the big telltales that they're trying to hide something, right? You come look at this, and it's like, okay, I don't see any large...
Oh, IG, have you tried turning it off and on again?
Hey, Mars. You don't see any big, like, obfuscated strings, right? There's no big, like, hidden blob of base 64 or just a dump of hex digits. That's usually the dead giveaways for this. This looks like very straightforward Python. So if we come look at this here, in fact, we can kind of see... Here's our payload template, right? So what he's going to be sending is some XML, query get parameters, and then looks like the SQL injection in here is specifically for this device ID right there. Content A, just like that. So let me see what they're talking about here. So in handle request, it's always good to understand, especially like if you're going to start launching these exploits as part of a penetration test, if you start working as a professional penetration tester, you want to make sure you absolutely, wouldn't say absolutely, but you understand to a high degree what this exploit is doing and where it's doing it to, because the last thing you want to go do is go crashing one of your client's systems. But here in the lab, I don't care. I can sling exploits all day long. When I'm on the job, before I go launching an exploit, it's a lot of reading to make sure I understand exactly what it's doing and how it's doing it. Even if I don't understand all the internals of the system, I can see, okay, cool. There's a exploit here that's happening. So let me see here. So the function takes in an array of input and recursively calls the DB escape to escape the input. The vulnerability is easily catchable here. What would happen if we sent a value that is neither an array nor a string? What would happen? Let's see. Because right here, they're turning the array map. Function value, if is array, and then we do is string, nothing. So it formats it, say, hey, by the way, if we have an array, here's how we're going to format it. If we have a string, here's how we're going to format it. Otherwise, we're just going to drop it directly in there. So if we send something that's not an array or a string, that value just drops right through. It's just going to return it. All right, so in the handle request function used to parse the agent request, it's possible to perform the agent request using XML and JSON. Okay, so while the JSON mode only performs a quick JSON decode, it can only create a string, array, map, integer, or standard class. So the XML mode, however, creates a simple XML element object from the user input. There we go. So that's the... We can't really do anything with the standard class. We can't really do anything with the integer. If it's a string or it's an array, it's going to get caught and then formatted before it gets passed on. But XML mode, which we saw over here in this guy's code, that's what he's sending. He's sending an XML payload. That explains why, because it's going to send this simple XML element. So after we send that, let's see. So this is the perfect candidate to escape the DB escape recursive function. It's an object that can be converted to a string easily. So they give an example here, right? Here's an XML object. There we go. I can zoom this in more. So in a PHP shell, right, makes this simple XML load string here. We dump it. We see this here. And then as we dump it out, we see it becomes a string right here. Boom. Nice. So to exploit the vulnerability, an XML request to the agent request endpoint is crafted that leads to a SQL injection exploitable using a simple time-based attack. Okay. Gotcha. Dang it. So then we got to figure out how to actually weaponize this. Actually, they go into more here. So leveraging the database to read an authentication bypass. So now the read privileges on the database have been acquired. Multiple ways exist to gain a valid session. So the hold on 1 second. How do we gain the read permissions in here? Okay, so using this simple request right here, because they have a select sleep 5, the server sleeps for 5 seconds due to the 1 = 1 condition. It's now possible to extract any data from the database using the privileges of the current database user. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. Now we have read permissions on there. So after that, what we could extract is, the obvious one now is recovering accounts from the database and attempting a password crack. However, the passwords being stored used bcrypt. Yep. So it could be a challenge to recover those. However, they also talk about if the API token of an account is set in the database, this can be used to easily obtain a valid session and gain access through the GUI. Get access to GUI of GLPI through the API authentication method. I wonder if this will work since they had the API disabled. Let's see here. Field redacted, auth local submit user token equals the API token. Okay, so what we could do is we can take this. Let me copy that. Let me convert this to a curl command real quick. Actually, that's a good idea. Maybe we could just go toggle the API on. So I'm going to try this and see if we can go read the database. We got to figure out like what's in there. Here we go. Went to sleep on me. Let me go try this real quick. So here's the curl version of this. What was that? For some reason, the session just died on me. Hang on. What happened to my server? Did the Kali box just die on me? No! No! Damn it. Damn it. Hang on. Let me go SSH over to this box real quick. What was that freaking IP address? Display name, let's see. Kali. Go, let's see. Hang on, let me set up an SSH connection to it real quick. And then, yeah, click OK. Hang on. I gotta get the IP address of the Kali box. Well, let's see. Oh, actually, I already had one set up. Didn't I? Okay, hang on. Let me just delete this out. We drop that in. I'm going to change the name of it, though. GOAD Cali SSH. There we go. Hold on. Let me see if I can SSH back into that system. Okay, so what happened to my VNC server? Do I have netstat? I do. Because this should have been connecting over on 8444. It died. It died on me. Ah. Hang on. Let's do this. Sudo. I think it's running in systemctl. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Let's see. Is it BNC? Is it Chasm? Says it's running, but it ain't running. Hold on. Restart. And then now, nah. What's that? Hang on, let me run netstat. Netstat. Plant pipe grep 8444. All right, now it's running. Reconnect. You bastard. You ate all my work. Okay, cool. It came back kind of from where we were. The question is, why did it just die like that? Okay, so what we should be able to do is run this guy right here. Oh, you know what? Actually, we were running in a TMUX session. We could just reattach to the TMUX session. No TMUX session, you bastard. All right, hang on. You know what we're going to do? Any TMUX session? Okay, no. We're going to start a new one here. Now the TMUX session isn't tied to this, so now we can do... Now we can attach over to it. There we go. I did. I broke it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. So that seemed to work, just like that. All right, so now that we have this guy right here, we know this is working. Did they actually say how to go pull the API key out? So now what we need to find is we need to figure out how to do the injection here to go read all of the information. Oh, I hate SQL injection. Let's see. Let me close this. I don't need this one anymore. All right, so now that we've got this, we could go look at GLPI's database structure. Let's see. GLPI, let's see. Database schema. Let's go look at that real quick. All right, so here's the database model. Oh, freaking databases. So what we need is, because according to this, if an API token of an account is set in the database, then we can easily obtain a valid session to gain access. Okay. There might be a way that we can go toggle on the API. Oh, crap. I forgot something. Hang on one second, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Woot. I just remembered that Peaches was still outside. I was like, oh no, she's been outside for a while. Because I put her out before the stream starts because she always wants to. No, it was not Poopy Gummy. And she always wants to like go like right in the middle of the stream. So I just go put her out. How was the race? Dude, the race was freaking sweet, man. Agent Zero scored his fourth of 5 first place finishes. So, and also, Danny, thanks for coming online. Welcome in. I hope you're having a stupendous Sunday. So happy pre-crushing it mode, everyone. Yeah, Gumby. Actually, I was telling everybody earlier at the start of the stream that after we got there, we got camp set up. You have to go through tech inspection whenever you start the race. So they do a look over of your quad, make sure that the safety gear is working, it's in decent running condition, right? And so I go to start Agent Zero's quad to go take it over to tech inspection, and it won't start. And we're like, what the heck is going on? Long story short, we had to take his carburetor off, disassemble it, do open carburetor surgery right there in the pits, and copious amounts of carb cleaner and a little bit of kinetic realignment. We got it fixed and working. So I have a new carburetor on order for him. The one we've had has been hanging on, but it doesn't quite mesh well with the throttle that he has. So the throttle cable is really long, so we had to take out a lot of the slack, and it was just hanging on by a thread. It hung on for the whole race. That's all I needed. I've already got the new carburetor on order for him. I'm switching him from a barrel carb that's got like a circular barrel that goes up and down to something called a slide carb. And I've already got that on order. It will work way better with what his current setup is. So we don't have this kind of issue in the future. But after the carburetor got fixed, it was running just fine. Yeah, dude, he was fast too, Gumby. So I went through and did the math. I walked the track, and it was 1.8 miles, and he was doing like 5-minute, 30-second laps. So he was his average speed was like 19 miles an hour. He was ripping through there. Let's see. So will this tell us where we need to go? Okay, so we have table names, foreign keys. What I need is, I need some kind of user in here. Yeah. In fact, hang on one second. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Hang on. I'm going to drop into OPSEC mode just in case, but let me see if I can find the video of it real quick here. Okay. Here we go. I'm not sure how loud this is going to be. I'm gonna look at the audio real quick here. But here we go. Let me bring this over here. All right, hang on. Let's see. Turn off OPSEC mode. Okay, I'm gonna watch the audio levels and make sure it's not too loud here, because Agent Zero's quad is amazingly loud. There you go. So that's Agent Zero right there. So you can tell he's not doing 19 miles an hour right here through this stretch. So this kid is the 90cc mod leader, and there's Agent Zero in the 50cc mod class, like keeping up with him. Just zipping, dude. After he got sideways and squirrely. So, I mean, I think we must have had about 30 kids out there during the race. It was wild. Yeah, they were just having an awesome time out there, man. Just ripping and ripping. All right. So anyway, going back to this here, what we need to find is we need to find out how to query the user database. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They had a really good time. And the adult track was, I think, over 4 miles, and it had some really massive drop-offs in it. I wish I had some video of the adult track. All right, we could just go run SQL map on this and have it try to dump the database. Let's see. So what we need to do, if we're going to do that, let's do this, we'll call this our SQL injection request.txt. And then let me grab a copy of this post request they showed up here. So we can use this. Let's copy that. Oh, wait, hold on. Set paste. There we go. All right, so here's what we need. And I think what we need to do for this is just put a star, if I remember correctly. Like that. So this will tell it, hey, this is our injection point right here. So let me save that. So we're going to save this. And then what we can do is do SQL map, TACR. We'll do this as our SQL injection request right here. Hey, Blurry, what's up, dude? This race was actually not anywhere close to Austin. I mean, it kind of was. It was way south of Austin. We were almost to the Gulf Coast. It was a 5-hour drive to get down there. It was a long drive. So I didn't get back home until 8 o'clock, and I had stuff I had to go unpack from the trailer. I had to get Agent Zero cleaned up because it was also a very dusty track, and he just looked like a little dust ball. So I had to get him showered and get him dinner and get him to bed. So I thought I was going to really make it to do the stream last night. Missed it by that much. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Actually, hold on. I need to go modify this again. I just realized. Because the host is incorrect here. The host... We need to Etsy. Actually, hold on. I've got it over here in the notes. Never mind. We can do this easier. We need to tell it what the host we're going to be connecting to is. And it is this guy right here, Cyrax. So copy that. Because we need to change the host header here. There we go. Now it knows where to go. And actually, we need to change this. This is going to be glpi/ like that. So that should be good now. And I think we can just do SQL map. SQL. Oh, it's not SQL IMAP. I'm an idiot. There we go. And then we can set the database. We know what the database is. This is DBMS is going to be MySQL, like this. I think that will work. Let's just run it real quick. We'll see what happens. Custom injection marker. Do you want to process it? Yes. Do you want to process it? Yes. You have not declared cookies. Do you want to use those? Yes, I do. Hey, what's up, Heffy? We are going through a lab called Dracarys. And here, hang on. Let me drop a link to it because I think it's rolled off on the YouTube chat real quick. But here we go. This is a special challenge lab from Mayfly, who made the game of Active Directory. And so we're just going through it. We're having some fun, hacking around and finding out. Where'd my terminal go? There we go. Do you want to include all tests for MySQL extending? Yes, yes I do. Continue. So let's see what this does. We're just going to let SQL map do its thing real quick. No, don't keep testing. Okay, so we know where the injection is. backend database, we can tell it's running MySQL at least 5012. So I think what we want is, I want to do a dump, but I don't want to dump the entire table. I want to find like what the particular one is in here. Indexes. Let me see. Let me try querying here. I need a list of the tables in here. Let's see. GLPI. Let's see. Database tables. So computers, tickets, plugins. There has to be a users table. Because the users table has to contain an API key in here. Okay, so we can tell it, hey, we want to target this particular table in there. Let's see, I think it's tech, capital T. Yes, and then tell it we want to dump that table right there. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's a pretty fun little lab. Optimize values? Yes, I do. Go ahead and optimize these. If I had, I think I have to have Burp Pro for it, but there's a SQL map interface into Burp. So what it's doing right now is it's going like one character at a time. And it will very, very slowly dump this out. I don't have a personal copy of Burp Pro, Heffy, but I do for work, right? And so I don't think they'd care if I used that key for it, but it doesn't feel right to do it. So, yeah. Okay, so cool. Now it's dumping stuff out from database GLPI. So if we knew what the database name was, which we could have guessed it, we could have optimized this a bit. It wouldn't have had to go through and figure out what the database name is. And now we specifically told it to look for users, GLPI users. And here it's coming back with an API token. So hold on, let's go look at the blog post that detailed this real quick. So they were showing an example here of leveraging the API token. So I wonder what this field redacted is in here. So when we can log in using this, so we can use the user token, we do a local auth. Oh, okay, this is our CSRF token right here. So we need to figure out how to we need to go get the CSRF token. We need to figure out what the randomized field names are. And then in this case, they did test and test. So I guess we'll have to see which users these map over to once it comes back in. Oh God, it's so slow. So we told it what table to use. We could optimize it a little bit more. What else? Hold on. What else did we have in this field here? Ah, here we go. Table contains core details such as ID, name, password, hashed, and other stuff. Okay, so we know it's going to have an API token in here too. So hold on. Let's break out of this because we can optimize this a little bit more. We could tell it what columns we want to get. So the columns we want are, I don't know if the ID is going to be helpful, but the name is definitely going to be helpful. So what we want is, we want the name. We don't want the password because the password is going to be a long bcrypt hash. And then I think, well, one is just the API underscore token value right here. Yes, yes, and yes. So it's going to do the time-based check again, but then it will go through and should just get those 2 fields that we need. We don't need every single field. We need to know the username so we can impersonate them. And we need to know what the API token is. Adjusting delay to 1 second due to good response times. Okay, awesome. So now we'll see what it comes back with. Hey, Nemesis, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. I hope you're having a stupendous, super, satisfactory Sunday. For me, a good Sunday is either getting to take the kids out to the racetrack or spending time with our friends and family. We got to do a lot of friends and family today. And we got to do the racetrack yesterday, so that was really cool. Man, that was a really fast track. I couldn't believe how fast that was. And it's funny because my father-in-law, he drove on the trip down there, and he raced, so he was all beat to hell. He races hard, and the adults race for 45 minutes. So, at least in his class, some of them race for like, I think an hour and a half for like the pros. But he was all beat to hell. He's 63. And he's still racing. He's been doing it for like 30 years. And he's still hanging with like the young 40-year-olds. And it's funny to think the young 40-year-olds is what he's talking about in there. But anyway, he's racing with them. He's all beat to crap. So I'm driving the big truck and trailer home. And it's not such a big deal because it's all highway. But it was like 5 hours nonstop on the road. Okay, so here we've got the normal user. So it got... Okay, so GLPI system and normal don't have API tokens. But now it's going through and it's checking the other ones in here. So these are the usernames. This is where the API token would be. But nothing's showing up in there, so it's just skipping over it. And this makes sense because these are the default user creds that we saw in the system, right? So if we don't get any API tokens back, then the next thing we have to do is go try and crack bcrypt, which really sucks because it is hella slow to crack. Especially on a system like this where it's CPU bound and I don't have a... I don't know. I could probably set up Hashcat on this computer and we could just do it on my 3060. I could try it. It won't kill the stream. It might make the video input from the computer turn to crap. We could try it. All right, so GLPI system, normal, post-only, tech. It doesn't look like they're having any luck in here. Damn. See that? All right, so all those didn't come back. So we could try... So these are all the users that exist in the local one in here. So let me make a note of this real quick. Let's see here. So from SQL injection, no API tokens on the local system. So let's make a note of that. Let's see, no API tokens. Let's see, on the local DB. We'll drop that in here. So we could either go get their... So we know GLPI is... That had the password change, that had the password change, that had the password change. They're not the default. Post only, didn't have it in here. But we don't know what GLPI system is. We didn't try that one. Let's go try it real quick. Let's see, where's Chrome in here? Chromium. Restore sessions. Alright, let's see. Let's see if that one works. Damn it. Okay, so that one didn't work. Sad. Yeah, we tried all these other ones. GLPI system was a different one in here. There are passwords, but we were trying to get around the password system because the passwords are stored as hashes in there. They're stored as bcrypt hashes. So they're very hard to crack. Bcrypt is really, really slow. So I'm trying to think if there's a way to get around it. Let's see. They had some other stuff listed in that blog article we were looking at. let's see. So this token is used if the calendar feature allows you to share personal calendars using a unique token. Token is in with an auth token method. Then destroy the session after printing the user's calendar. Previously, it was possible to recover the impersonated session using a personal token by forcing an error, but that was mitigated in 10.09, which were passed right there. Okay, so we need to get authenticated, then we could actually move into an RCE situation. Okay, I guess let's go change our tactic here a bit. So these are the users that we've got, right? GLPI, I think, is the primary, like, local administrator in here. I'll tell you what, let's check if there's anything else. I know there's nothing useful in there. So dumping the columns isn't going to be helpful. But I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and check it real quick. So rather than doing a dump, let's check columns in here. Columns. We know what they should be. But I just want to double check and see what we've got in there. So we'll have to be patient with this because the time-based one takes forever. But I think we'd already kind of seen what they were from here. We should see ID name, password, first name, real name, and authentication type in here. So it'll give us a little bit. What's varchar 255? There we go. Okay, so API token date. Oh, I wish this ran faster. But what sucks is we can only get at best one character per second because it's a blind injection. So we just got to be patient with it. That's what sucks about blind SQL injection. So what it's doing right now, if you're wondering, is it's going through and it's brute forcing all the characters in here. And so it's saying, okay, does the first letter of the first column equal A? No. Well, does it equal B? No. Does it equal C? No. And it just brute forces them in a line like that, goes down. So what it's doing right now is it's checking to see what each of the column names are in the table. So we told it what table to use. Let's see. Yeah, so we told it was GLPI. Oh, dang it. I didn't tell it what database to use in here. That would have sped it up. I'm an idiot. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. Hang on. Wait, am I running that command again? Yeah, I did. Dang it. Yeah, I used the wrong one. We told it what the table is. We didn't tell it what the database was, but it should be fine. It should find it in the GLPI database. Come on, little SQL injection, you can do it. This is an error because I accidentally hit the keyboard. Tiny int? Okay. I can't take it anymore. All right, let's just do name and password in here. Like this. And so we told it what the table is. I don't think we told it what the database is. Yeah, that's where I screwed up. Database will be GLPI. Am I using AOL dial-up? No, dude, we're doing a blind SQL injection and we're dumping information out of the database. It's just slow as get out. Let me check something else real quick. Hold on. Because there's various techniques we can tell it. Let me see. SQL map. README. Let's see. Techniques. Here we go. I wonder what the techniques available are. We can also multi-thread this. We can tell it what threads how many threads we want to do here. Let's see. I'm pretty sure the technique is, yeah, T. So we can tell it tac technique. We can tell it. We can save it the trouble of trying to come through and not worry about like which one to use. We know it's a timing-based technique. And then can we multi-thread this? I'm not sure. Let's try it. What's the default for the threads? Threads is default to 1. Oh yeah, we can. Those are rookie numbers. We got to bump those numbers up. Threads 10. Let's see. Yep, blind time-based injection. Continue. Let's see, hopefully by bumping up the threads, we can get it to run a little bit faster in here. Yeah, so this should be grabbing the API tokens now. Let me double check. I broke it by scrolling. Well, the API token, we already tried that one. We let it run, Gumby, and that field was just blank. So there's no API tokens, which kind of makes sense because the API is disabled. But we can still get the passwords. We dump the bcrypt hashed passwords. We run it through something like RockU. Yeah. Yes, optimize the time. Let's see. Very important not to stress the network connection during the use of time-based payloads to prevent potential disruptions. I'm trying not to, man. Oh, nice. So it went and got the length of it first, so it knows exactly how many to go through. Oh, I wonder if we nuked it by having too many threads running. Now this works though, because for a bcrypt password, let's see. It should start with like a $2y bcrypt hash. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah. Actually, this says it starts with %2a. What? Does it? Or $2a, and then hash value in here. All right, I think I busted it. Just close out here. Let me drop the threads down to like 3. We'll try this again. I think having the thread count too high messed it up. Oh, even worded right here. Multi-threading is considered unsafe and time-based data retrieval. I tell you what. All right, fine. Fine. We'll take off the threads. Man, I was hoping that would speed it up. Yes, yes, yes. There's I forget what the option is. There's a risk option we can set in here so we don't have to answer those questions every time. But you know what? I'm too lazy to look it up. Hey, Carson, what's up, dude? All right, let's let SQL injection do its thing here. There we go. So we should see $1 to a dollar come up right here. Or 2Y, actually. Did they show what the hashes look like? $2Y. No, it didn't show up in here. I know, I was hoping to get this done, but the freaking... Alright, so we know what the name and the password's gonna be. We already have the usernames. We could have just gotten the passwords out of here. So what this is doing is, it's saying, this is bcrypt, and then this is how many rounds I think it did, and I believe this will be the salt. I know for, let's see. Yeah, I believe this value right here is going to be the salt. No, I'm taking that back. I forget how bcrypt is structured, at least this one. Bcrypt hash, let's see, $2Y. Dollar. Which one is this? Crypt blowfish implementation. Okay. Let's see, hash format.
Virus infection alert.
Hey, Dirtwino! The space virus, the astrophage has invaded. What's up, guys? Welcome in. Let me give Dirtwino a good little shout out. Welcome in all of my Spaceketeers. I hope y'all are having a fun stream tonight. We are sitting here watching a database get cracked literally one character at a time. It's like old school televised nerd hacking, right? Where like they go crack the password one character at a time. It's kind of almost like that, but not exactly. You can sterilize us, but you can't delete us. That's right. That's all right. I have a nitrogen tank out in the welding shop, which is not true. I don't have a welding shop. One day, I hope to. Yes, we are doing blind SQL injection. So we're going through this lab here called Dracarys here. So this is by a fellow named Mayfly. He made this really big, kind of like damn vulnerable Windows Active Directory lab called Game of Active Directory. It's very cool. Oh, let me snooze the ads real quick, so they're about to start up. And then he later released a bunch of variants of it, and this is his latest variant of it called Dracarys. Shut up, baby, I know it. And so Dracarys is meant to be like a challenge AD lab in here. So we're working on the initial foothold for it. So we found that it's running a inventory management system called GLPI. And this version of GLPI, after we went through and enumerated it, has a SQL injection vulnerability. However, it is what's called blind, meaning we don't get the information back, and it's time-based, meaning that we can tell by looking at the timing of the responses, did it actually execute our SQL query? So what we're doing is we're having it go through and basically brute force every character of the password field to give it back to us. So that's what we've got coming back here. You see how they're just ticking up like we're on AOL dial-up? What it's doing is it's actually doing hundreds of tests per each character in there. And when it gets a match, then it sleeps. And so it knows, okay, the response took longer than normal, so now we know that was the matching character. And it just iterates over this, bam, 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 bam. So we've got the first hash back right here. We got a list of the users already. There's another field in there where they could have an API token, but unfortunately all those were blank. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential ones in here. So what we're doing is we're dumping out all those password hashes and we're going to try and crack them offline. Unfortunately, they are using a particular hashing mechanism called bcrypt with the blowfish variant in it. And that is hella slow to crack. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we're probably going to use John, and I'm probably just going to throw Rock You through it since it is a CTF. In the real world, I'd go spin up a GPU hash cracker in AWS and let that sucker churn on it. But even then, bcrypt is really slow to compute. And so it's really a pain to crack offline. So once we have these hashes, what we'll do is we'll feed them through a password cracker that will take like a whole list of words and rules and everything, and then it will compute the hash, and we'll see if we get the same hash value back. If we do, then we know what the original clear text password was. Could we just hack the Gibson and bypass all this? I tried, dude. I'm not lead enough to hack the Gibson. I'm gonna go with you. Yeah, it's probably password one or pass 123. So attacking GLPI is an interesting target. Makes sense though. It's the same database system I know of. Yeah. So it's this is all running on MySQL. So like I said, what we've got going on here is SQL map just running through and doing a blind-based, time-based attack to dump all these out. So we just had to be very patient with it and let it do its thing. And this is what I do for a day job. By the way, everybody who came in on the wonderful Professor Dr. Sensei Nerduino stream, my name's Blaise, and I do this for a living. I'm a professional red teamer and penetration tester. And we just got to hack around and have fun. Sometimes we're building stuff. Sometimes we're breaking labs. Just depends on whatever tickles my fancy that night. I heard somebody once brute forced a scoreboard and added 1,000 points in one. That is always the undocumented additional target to any CTF is, can you hack the scoreboard? Because if you can, then you just win the whole thing. Yeah, the password probably is Hunter too, Bill. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you typed. Sorry, that was all asterisks. I totally didn't see that. What do we use for logging for pen tests? So we do a couple different things. Usually, if we're using a C2, so typically that's either Cobalt Strike or Mythic. We've got Mythic has built-in logging capabilities, which are really cool. The guys that I work with have built some custom logging capabilities into Cobalt Strike, so it will keep a log of like what we've done in there. Because the Cobalt Strike's logging is notoriously ephemeral. It's a kind of a pain, and it stores it in a weird way. So we'll do that. Also, we'll record terminal sessions and with a timestamp. And so we timestamp everything in UTC to make it nice and simple. And then when we'll be taking notes during the penetration test, usually just in some kind of a markdown system. And then when the penetration test is done, we'll go through our notes and be like, okay, cool. I need a little bit more evidence that we did XYZ. Cool, that was at this timestamp. Let me go check the logs. I'll go pull out information that I need there and bring it over. I love Cobalt Strike. I don't care what anyone says. Cobalt Strike is the coolest C2 from 1998. I know it's older than that. It's newer than that. But man, Cobalt Strike has some really cool features, but it needs so much like TLC. And aggressor scripts and sleep are just absolutely painful. Painful. So Mythic is my favorite C2. I really like Mythic. Yeah. Cobalt Strike is really awesome in its capabilities, but it's more like we're going to give you an interface to use just to show off all the cool stuff we built on the back end. That's it. Yeah, I am an active red teamer right now. So I've been doing that for 8 years. The first 6 years I was doing penetration testing, 6.5 years. The last year and a half I've been at a different company and doing more red teaming. So that's what I do for my day job. I've been in IT for 16 years. Yeah, after I kind of learned more about Mythic, I really started liking it. And especially once I started operating with it and I saw the logging capabilities and like I could easily go back and reference things that I had done during a penetration test or a red team. Oh my God, it was so helpful. Because sometimes, I try to take really good notes, but sometimes, man, you just get into a groove and you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this thing now. All right, awesome. Going to do this thing. And you just forget to take the notes. Like you're locked in and you're working on the system and you forget. Like, oops, I didn't take a screenshot. Hold on one second. Check it up in the chat real quick. I got to help a group set up their CTF lab. We've done a lot of idle resources, so he spun up 430 VMs one day, and I hadn't even noticed. Damn. That's a big lab. Have I also developed any tools? Not so much. Usually a lot of what I did was modifying tools that already existed to make them work better with what I want to do. And so I actually do have a tool that I'm working on right now that is not specifically built for Mythic. It will work with Cobalt Strike, but the flow is not going to be nearly as clean. And it works around something called beacon object files. And the biggest pain with beacon object files is knowing how to format the input to them. And sometimes it makes those buffs unnecessarily bloated. So I'm working on a system that I feel will kind of like help optimize that. Oh, damn it. We were sitting here so long watching all the hashes dump. He was running 7 high school groups through that CTF. Nice. Nice. That's awesome. When I can, I only got the time to do it once. And I was helping out with the... what was it? The Southwest CCDC. The Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition. And so that's a big CTF put on for a lot of universities and colleges for their students to come in and work with it. And so then they actually get volunteers who are professional red teamers to come in and play the red team. So the teams are competing to actually keep the red team out and achieve objectives to lock down their environment. And then the red team's job is to go in and basically just mess their stuff up. Oh, here we go. All right, so far what we've got is the GLPI system account. We've got their password hash. The normal user account, we've got their password hash. The post only one, we've gotten their password hash. And now we're getting the tech account. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. And we had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I think the only one we're missing is the actual GLPI account. So all of these, except for GLPI system, these are all default accounts that we previously got out from SQL injection. So now this is the one that actually is going to be the most interesting for me because that one is the one that is not in the list. So I'm going to let this run because if we do a lot on this system, we crank up the CPU, we crank up the network usage, we're going to mess up the time-based methods that it's using. So we got to let it just chill and run. But after it's done, I'm going to go try and crack this GLPI system one first in here. Actually, we may be able to crack all of them at once. Let me double check something real quick. I don't know if this is a salted hash. If it's salted, that might change things a bit. Hang on, where is this? So the prefix for the hash. So here's what one of the hashes looks like. It's got these dollar symbols are actually field delimiters in here. And there's only 2 field delimiters. There's 3 field delimiters, so there's 3 fields in here. 2Y says, hey, this is the Blowfish variant of bcrypt. This is like a cycle count, and then I think this is the cryptid hash right here. I'm gonna go with Ayuda. I think that's what you say. Thanks for coming online. Welcome in. Let's see. Okay, so the first $2Y dollar is the specific version of bcrypt. And then we have a cost factor, which is the second one. Then we have a 22 character base 64 salt string. And then we have the actual hash, which is 31 characters. Okay, so this is a salted hash. So for example, it pulled up this one right here. I believe, yeah, everything up to this dot right here is going to be the salt. And then the rest of this is going to be the hash right here. So it has a 22 byte salt. So these are salted hashes, which makes sense. I was going to be really weirded out if they weren't. But if they're salted, it takes a lot of compute power to go through and compute each one. So I think we'll get better bang for our buck if we just try to crack the main one, which is the only one that looks non-standard, which is GLPI system. Well, I think so. The GLPI system one has no password. That was for GLPI. We'll see, because there was 2 different ones in here. We'll see what it does, because it's going to give us a formatted table of all the data after it dumps it. Normally the stream would be wrapping up right now, but I'm going to let this finish running, and then I'll start the crack job afterwards, because John will probably take forever, even just running through something like RockU, because it's got to go through, it's CPU bound. Hey, Debug, thanks for coming online. All right. And like I said, this is not meant to be a real simple go in and smash and just break everything apart lab. This is meant to be a challenge lab. So he's got a very carefully kind of curated list of like how you should go through it. But he also just released this a couple weeks ago. Actually, when did he release this? Let me see. Actually, a couple months ago. 2 months ago. So there's no write-ups on it yet. Nobody's really messed with it. Here we go. Oh, okay. So GLPI system has a blank password hash? Uh-huh. I wonder if that means... Ooh. If it's blank, it means there's no password hash set. Unfortunately, if we go through and we send a blank password, it's not going to work because of the way the hashing system operates. Right? So if we do local authentication, it's going to fail, because what's going to happen is it's going to go through its padding algorithm, and then it's going to make a password hash for it, and then it's going to check it against null, so it's not going to work. What's this look like on the other side? So what would a blue team see? You would see an ass load of activity happening on that database, right? Way more than you probably would see, and especially you'd see a lot of it, Bill, coming from like a single individual account or like a single IP address, unless you spread this out. But essentially, you're going to see a lot of that stuff just kind of go in there and happen. So here's a quick breakdown of what we're looking at. So this is the curl command here. And what happened is there's an authentication bypass where these machines are going through, and in the device ID, it doesn't properly... If you send an XML query right here, it doesn't properly filter out and escape the information. So we have a time-based injection we can do here. So SQL map goes through, figures out the time-based injection, and we could do this. Another issue, another thing we probably could do is we might be able to... Actually, I think this is a read only. I don't think this is a write permission. So we can't go write to the database, because of the way this is structured. I think it's a read-only. Yeah, if you had like any basic like what's the... I'm trying to think of the right word. Basically, if you were running this bill and like you're looking like, hey, what's the standard like rate of database queries? All of a sudden, this would just spike up hugely, because every time it has to go guess one of these characters, it's going to run through the entire ASCII keyboard, right? The entire visible ASCII range to go look at this. So that's roughly 96 characters, if I remember correctly. So it can take up to 96 guesses to go through this. And then that's just to get one character. Then to get the next one, it goes one more, and then one more. So if you had anything kind of looking at anomalous SQL queries that were being executed, that would detect it. If you're just looking at like query rates, all of a sudden you'd see a huge spike in your database activity. And like, okay, what's happening here? And then you could start kind of going down the list of it. Yeah, blind-based SQL injections are very, very loud. Yeah, especially if you've got something like a standard deviation marker built that says, hey, this is about the average amount of queries that we see. And if we start seeing something outside of 2 standard deviations from that, then we want to initiate an alarm. If it's too low, it could mean a system's offline. If it's too high, it could mean there's a fault with the system, or somebody is trying to do something exactly like what we're doing. So that's probably the best way to try to catch this. All right, let me make a copy of this real quick here. Let's go throw this over in our notes. Boop. There we go. So now we've got the password hashes. I'll tell you what, let's go try and crack. Let's see. Let's try to crack this one real quick. me come down here, CD to the Dracarys folder, and then let's see, hash for GLPI. TXT. Let me just drop this in here real quick. There we go. And then so now what we'll do is we'll do John, let's see, hash GLPI, and then I think we do the word list. Let's see. I don't use John very much, but for word list, we'll do this. We'll just do Rocky real quick. Oh, hold on. Also saw trip code. What? Okay, I think that was just like a regular error. Hold on, I'm gonna let it go for a second. All right, hold on. I got something wrong with my command here. Let me see. I think this should be... Hold on. Check hash format. Make sure I got this correctly. Oh, there we go. Let me try this real quick. I think I might have the formatting wrong here. Hold on. And then we'll try hash glpi.txt. So what was the format here? Label bcrypt. Okay. So I think I had the format off a little bit here. So what we'll do is format equals bcrypt, like that. Yeah. And then word list, that will be user share word list. We'll just run it through Rocky real quick. The super elite. So if this doesn't crack with Rocky, then that's going to be annoying. Even a simple like min-max and the average plus a new max alarm would get this. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not a, there's so many ways you could go through and try and crash it. Look at the CPU usage all of a sudden. Brrr, CPU goes burr. But bcrypt is so ungodly slow. Wait, hold on. It didn't use the Rocky word list. It said proceeded with word list user share John password.list. Hold on, that's not right. Let me look at this real quick. Okay, that was not correct. Hold on. Oh, I need a... Oh, damn it. I'm an idiot. This needs an equal sign right here. That's what it needs. Yeah, I forgot the equal sign right there. Yeah, I believe it's the, a lot of times it could be the ordering of the parameters, but also I forgot that damn equal sign right there. This is why hashcat number 1. If I had a GPU on this particular system, this is running on my Ludus home server, which does not have a GPU. So I thought about just bringing over, like setting up hashcat on my actual computer, because I do have an RTX 3060 in there. It would have run a lot faster. Let's see what the status is. Oh god, it's gonna be so slow. ETA is 2 days. All right, we can do better than that. Hey, Doodler, hack the planet. Oh yeah. I missed the old hash cracker I had at my last job. It had 8 NVIDIA Titan V cards in it. But actually, the same buddy, I still have a bunch of friends that work there. They just provisioned a new system that's got 8 5090 cards in it with custom water cooling blocks. It's the only way they could fit it into the chassis. I've got Burp Community, but I have used OWASP Zap, but it's not actually OWASP anymore. I never used Zap. And a lot of my friends said they really liked it, but I just hadn't messed with it. Yeah, 8 5090s is huge. It's basically, I think a 5090 has about double the compute capacity of the Titan V. So yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, someone had money, but not anymore. I'm actually trying to get them to like give me an alumni connection to that server so I could run some larger data models, like language models on it to do some testing. They're thinking about it. I'm still very good friends with everybody who worked there. Let me look at something real quick. Let's see. Hashcat format lookup. Let me see. Hashcat examples. Let me go look at the bcrypt example here. Let's see. Bcrypt. Hold on. Actually, you know, it's better to just search for it. So $2y $. Okay, that one didn't come up with it. Well, this one, actually, this one should match it right here, right? Because this one's a 2A, but it says it matches 2 stars. So that would be Hashcat format 3200. Rock you word list download. Actually, you know what I can do? Hang on. I have an SSH connection. I've already got the damn word list. I can just copy it from the server. Let's see. Connect with SFTP. Let me see here. Bring this over. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Go back. Let's see. User, share. Let's see. Wordless, rock you. Just go download that real quick. All right, hang on, because I'm copying this to my personal computer. So let me see if I actually downloaded. Wait, did it already finish downloading? No way. Hold on, there's no way that finished. Hang on one second. Oh, it actually did. Okay, hang on. No, that ain't right. Stand by, y'all, because I'm doing this on my personal computer, so we copy that. Let me get a copy of Hashcat downloaded. Hashcat downloaded. Windows. Here, I can turn OPSEC mode off now. Let's see. I'm glad I've got dual 4090s, but now that everything's in a shortage. Dude, I'm jealous because I have a 3060 and I have been meaning to upgrade it for a while. And same thing with the RAM on this computer. This RAM's got 32 gigs and I've been meaning to upgrade it to 64 and I just waited way too long. All right, save that. Let me get that downloading. I recognize this cable channel. Yeah, it's been... I love this OPSEC mode, though. Like, good luck. Good luck decoding that. Let me grab something real quick. Let me see. All right, hang on. So I'm extracting Hashcat real quick here. All right, so now, we bring this up. So hashcat should be extracted completely. We should have hashcat.exe. All right, cool. So we should have that. So now what I need to do let's see. So what we want to do is we want to do hashcat. I'm going to set the workload to 4. I'm not going to let it go hog wild. It won't break the stream because the stream is actually running on a separate computer, but we could do that. Let's see. So we need to set the mode on it. So the mode will be 3200 for this. And then... Oh, you know what else I need? Hang on one second. I need to get the hash for it real quick. Bring this over here. Let me close some of this stuff. Save, don't save, don't save. Okay, hang on. I gotta get the hash off the system real quick. Where was that? Losing my place. Here we go. Alright, I'm gonna kill this because it's gonna take way too long to try to crack it with that. So, let me come back over here. Let me just grab... I'm gonna grab this whole thing real quick. We'll just drop them all in there. Alright, hold on. We gotta do a little bit of cleanup. That line can go away. Clear that out. And then, yoink. We'll just load up each of these little hashes right here. Happy little hashes. Boom. There we go. So now we got them saved onto the computer. And then now we should just be able to tell it like what the hash value is. So it should just be hash.txt. And then our word list should be just rocku.txt. OpenCL, no such file in the directory found. What? Hold on. Let me try it this way. Hold on. Oh, it's good. Dang it. I forgot. There you go. All right. There we go. So now we'll try running it with hashcat. We'll see what happens. This stuff I put into a dedicated folder, Gumby, so I'm not worried about OPSEC mode for this one. All right. So how long is this one going to take? It's going to take about 18 hours to run through that. So unfortunately, I think that's probably where we're going to let it chill for tonight. I'll let my CPU just get cooked. Hang on. Actually, I'm going to go into OPSEC mode because I want to check something real quick. I want to check what the processes are doing. Yeah. There's the GPU usage. You see it go whoop, 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 whoop. Just starting to break it right now. Why don't I just set up hashcat on Google Drive? I mean, I guess I could. I haven't used Colab a ton. I've used it a little bit. I used it in a blog post I wrote to show people how to do certain things with language models. That was a while ago. All right. Unfortunately, that is where we've got to wrap it up for tonight. So let's go see if anybody's over on InfoSec streams. Unfortunately not. So here, I'm going to drop this link over the chat because if you like this kind of security stuff, there is all sorts of folks, usually on during the daytime. We're the only ones on this time of night that are up here doing CTFs, other security work, just talking about stuff. If you've ever seen Tiberius, I think he's on this list. If you've ever seen John Hammond and Low Level Learning, they're on this list. So it just kind of comes up and says, hey, here's people doing cybersecurity streams that are online right now. So if you like it, go check this out. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anybody's on right now. So let's go see who else we might have. Over on the Twitch side of the house, if you have any raid suggestions, feel free to shout them out. Let's see. Who's in science and tech right now? Unfortunately, nobody really doing anything science and techy right now. Bummer. I was hoping somebody in science and tech would be on right now. Nerduino beat me to it. Normally I'd just go raid him. Let's see. Let's see. Who's over in software and game dev? See if anybody's working on a cool project over there. Let's see. Adam's on. Shindigs is on, but he's playing Fortnite. I can't abide. Let's see. Science is on. We could always go right over to science. They're always doing fun sciencey stuff. It's in their name. They better be. Let's see. I don't really see anybody on doing anything fun, so I guess we'll just go right over to science. Yeah, we'll go right over to science. We'll do that. All right, let me get that started. Actually, what's funny is science isn't even doing science stuff. They're doing Pragmata, which is a fun game. So, all right, guys, unfortunately, that's where I got to wrap it up for tonight. I hope all of y'all are going to have a wonderful week. Remember, tomorrow is Monday, and for some of you, it's already Monday. Monday means crushing it mode is in full effect because we do not go weekly into the week. We go crushing it into the week. Week being the time, not like weak people. No, protect the weak people. Crush the week. Monday through Friday. I hope all of y'all have a fantastic week coming up. I will catch up with y'all Wednesday night. We're going to do Hacker News that night. And it looks like it's already shaping up to be another wild week. Last week was crazy. Lots of supply chain attacks we were dissecting. And we'll have a lot of fun with it. So I will catch y'all on Wednesday night doing Hacker News. And then shouldn't be anything to keep from the normal Saturday and Sunday streams. There's no races for a couple months. So we should be good for that too. I want all of y'all to take care. Have a wonderful week. And I will catch up with y'all Wednesday night. Oh, do me a favor. When you get over to Science Stream, drop a bunch of Hack the Planets and Happy Hackers in there. And show them some love. I will catch y'all Wednesday night, and I want y'all to remember one very important thing. I mean this. This is very important, top secret. It will be on the quiz. I love you. Peace.